The United States is insolvent, Michael Snyder reports. You can call everyone for dinner because our goose is cooked. We are so deep in debt that the only way you can keep the entire system from collapsing is to keep borrowing even more money. Perhaps you have been through a similar scenario with your own personal finances. When you simply do not have enough money to pay your bills, borrowing more money can seem like a really easy short-term solution. Unfortunately, the US government has been doing this for decades, and now our national debt spiral has reached a terminal stage. Even if we gathered up all of the money that exists in every bank account in America, we could not pay off the national debt. The debt level is exploding upwards at an exponential rate, and the only way that the federal government can continue to pay the bills is to keep borrowing and spending colossal amounts of money that we must borrow from someone else. As I write this article, the US national debt is sitting at $31.4 trillion. Now, if we take a look at what it was in about 2000, it was about 5 trillion. Okay, so in 22 years, it's gone up about 25 more. But the total value of all goods and services produced in the United States last year was only about $25 trillion. Our leaders in Washington could try to reverse course by balancing the budget, but that would lead to a short-term economic disaster. Just think about it. What do you think would happen if a couple $1 trillion of government spending was suddenly sucked out of the economy? We would immediately plunge into a horrifying economic depression. Sadly, the truth is that we have been borrowing from the future to make the present a lot more pleasant. We're enjoying an artificially inflated standard of living that we do not deserve. And we've been using the debt to fund that artificially inflated standard of living. But now a day of reckoning is here. Of course, it's not just the federal government that has gone completely insane. Our state and local governments are collectively more than $3 trillion in debt. Corporate debt in the United States has now surpassed the $12 trillion mark, and total U.S. household debt is now over $18 trillion. As the U.S. economy has slowed down in recent months, an increasing number of Americans have turned to credit and card debt, so now credit card debt is rising at an exponential rate, while the saving rates has dropped to a historical low. And at this point, the average rate of interest on credit card balances is the highest ever. I don't even have the words to describe how self-destructive we are being. On every level of society, debt levels are absolutely skyrocketing. We're literally committing national financial suicide, but many people don't seem to care. And many people don't seem to care because they don't even understand what is happening. At this point, our system of education, quote-unquote, has produced hordes of completely clueless individuals that can barely even function in a modern society. If we had a population that was properly educated and properly informed, they would be absolutely horrified at what our leaders have been doing to us. But instead, our leaders have been free to systematically destroy our financial future for a very long time, and very few of us have even cared enough to object. Unfortunately, we have reached a point where there is no turning back. We have already destroyed the reserve currency of the planet. We have already created rampant inflation. The Federal Reserve has been feverishly hiking interest rates, but this is dramatically raising debt service costs at every level of our society, and is also causing economic activity to slow down all around us. Companies all over America are now laying off workers, and that even includes Google. On Friday, Alphabet-owned Google announced it was cutting 12,000 employees, roughly 6% of the full-time workforce. While employees had been bracing for a potential layoff, they're questioning leadership about the criteria for layoffs, which surprises some employees who woke up to find their access to company properties cut off. Some of the laid-off employees had been long tenured or recently promoted, raising questions about the criteria used to decide whose jobs were cut. Shortly after CEO Sundar Pichai's initial email to employees Friday morning, Google search boss Prabhakar Raghavan sent an email to employees saying he also feels a responsibility to reach out and asking for them to save questions for next week's town hall. There will be bumps in the road as the organization moves forward with the layoffs, Raghavan noted. Why is Google doing this? No corporation in the entire country is stronger than they are. If there is one company in America that should not be laying off workers, it is Google. Of course, just about every large tech company is laying off workers these days. Microsoft is laying off workers, Amazon is laying off workers, Facebook is laying off workers, Twitter is laying off workers. We have not seen anything like this since 2008. That's because we have not had an economic crisis like this since 2008. So many people are going to lose their jobs in months ahead, and the economic pain that we will experience in 2023 will be just the beginning, because the entire system is starting to come down all around us. Do you actually think we can go on the greatest debt binge in all of human history and that everything would work out just fine somehow? That's not how the real world works. We sat by and did nothing while our leaders made disastrous decisions for decades, and now we'll be forced to watch in horror as the consequences of those decisions play out right in front of our eyes. It's finally here. Michael's new book entitled End Times, now available in paperback and for Kindle on Amazon. About the author, this is written by Michael Snyder. He says, "My name is Michael, and my brand new book entitled End Times is now available on Amazon. In addition to my new book, I've written 6 other books that are available on Amazon, including 7-Year Apocalypse, Lost Prophecies of the Future of America, The Beginning of the End, and Living a Life That Really Matters. When you purchase any of these books, you help to support the work that I'm doing. And one way that you can help is by sending copies as gifts to family and friends. Time is short, and I need help getting these warnings into the hands of as many people as possible. I've published thousands of articles on the Economic Collapse blog, End of the American Dream, and The Most Important News. And the articles that I publish on those sites are republished on dozens of other prominent websites all over the globe. I always freely and happily allow others to republish my articles on their own websites, and I also ask that they include this about the author section with each article. The materials contained in this article is for general information purposes only, and readers should consult licensed professionals before making any legal, business, financial, or health decisions. I encourage you to follow me on social media, Facebook and Twitter, and in any way that you can share these articles with others is definitely a great help. These are such troubled times, and people need hope. John 3:16 tells us about the hope that God has given us through Jesus Christ. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. If you have not already done so, I strongly urge you to invite Jesus Christ to be your Lord and Savior today. This is by Michael Snyder on the Economic Collapse blog. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support, and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box